Hi, and welcome to Chamber Chat. This is a partnership with the Monmouth Independence Chamber of Commerce and Visitor Center, Winnipeg, and Western Oregon University, in which our members are featured so our community can get to know them better. And joining me today is Maddie, who is the Sales, Marketing, and Tasting Room Manager for Namaste Vineyards. Maddie, thanks for being here.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Now, I know you're not originally from the Monmouth Independence area, so why live here? Why work for Namaste? Why here?
My daughter was in her final year at Western Oregon University. I was helping a friend set up her wine bar in Dallas. We were carrying Dave Mascarini, owner of Namaste Vineyards Wine, and he asked me to participate in the new open of our tasting room down on Highway 99. And so didn't know it was going to be as long-term as this, but I'm still there.
And we're glad you're here.
Oh, thank you.
So now that you've lived here for a little while, what would you say is one of the unique features about the Monmouth Independence area?
I think one of the unique features is it's a college town. So we get a lot of diversity from not only here in Oregon, but also from overseas. Also, I feel that this area is growing as Napa once was many years ago in the 60s when I visited as a child, and I see the same thing within the wine industry here. It's fascinating to go to these small little wineries and watch them grow.
I know since I moved out, just driving around from the vineyards to from one tasting room to another tasting room is just beautiful. Just driving around Polk County. Of course, you can go beyond Polk County, and it's just, if nothing else, it gives you a great opportunity to see the area and just how pretty it is here.
It is.
And then, of course, you get to taste some really lovely wines too.
Right, and you get to speak to the owner, or you get to speak to someone like myself who does the marketing and the sales. And you really get to learn about the winery on a first-hand experience.
So what would you say, and there's a shot right now of you at Namaste, I believe that was a ribbon cutting, I think. So what would you say has been, with your job, working in the tasting room where you get to interact with all the people who are coming in, what's some of your most fun moments with that?
One of my most fun moments is when someone walks in, has never had wine, and doesn't know where to start. And I'm an educator at heart. And so when someone walks in and says, teach me about wine, tell me where I should start, why is it white, why is it red, I find that absolutely thrilling. And I like watching the light bulbs go off in the person who's learning about wine. Very, very exciting. So
what would you say has been one of your greatest professional accomplishments?
Within the wine industry?
Or in general, whichever you prefer, or both.
My profession has been both in medical, and it's also been in the wine industry. Let's take the medical. As a geriatric case manager, one of my most satisfying moments was being able to keep a couple in their 90s at home safe without being admitted into a assisted living. And they were safe and very happy, and they died in their home. And to me, that was a wonderful experience that they were able to stay in their home. Within the wine industry, Dave Mascarini, our owner, did not have a marketing and sales person. And stepping in, it is wonderful to me to see this community embracing Namaste Vineyards in both of our tasting rooms and passing it on. Also, our wine club has grown tremendously, and I am such a strong advocate of wine club and the members. And I think those are probably my biggest accomplishments.
So now you've got the tasting room, as you said, on Highway 99, and of course there's the original location.
Right.
Do you want to talk, because that one you have the great scenic kind of overview.
Right.
99, you have not the same elevation, so the view's a little different.
Yes, it is. It overlooks
it's a really great
fields.
tasting room, though. I mean, the design of the inside is quite beautiful.
Right.
So do you want to talk about the other?
Sure, we have two tasting rooms. One is off Highway 20 as you're heading towards the beach. It's up where the vineyards are. And beautiful view as you sit out on the deck, having a glass of wine, bringing a picnic. And then we opened up our Highway 99 tasting room. We felt we needed to have a tasting room that was on the main thoroughfare of Highway 99, and we opened it last March. And Dave, by practice, is a master carpenter, and so the tasting room on Highway 99 is beautiful. He's done a wonderful job. So they're both different in a way, but they're also very beautiful in their own way.
Right, and you've seen some shots here. That's, of course, the 99 tasting room, and you had a previous shot of the one off of Highway 20. Great. Again, scenic views, just a nice place to sit and try some wine, and good wine.
And good wine, yes. I think we make very good wine.
So now, on a personal level, what would you say has been one of your greatest accomplishments personally, not professionally, but as an individual?
I think, encasing both my professions, I think a greatest accomplishment is when I can explain, and it doesn't matter what the subject matter is or the topic, and I have to do the dance 10 different ways, and they get it. And to me, that is a wonderful accomplishment on my part, and also for the other part that is the other individual that's learning. I can pinpoint many situations, both in the wine industry and the medical industry, that I've done that, but I think that's one of my greatest accomplishments.
Just the idea of being able to educate in the sense of explaining, so someone walks away with the knowledge and the understanding.
And different ways of explaining. Not everybody learns by one method. And one of the jobs that I've had to do, both in the wine industry and the medical industry, is find different venues or avenues to try to educate.
And it's great that you actually take the different avenues to do that. I taught school for about 8 years, and definitely every child, every person does not learn the same way. And saying the same thing the same way isn't going to reach everyone. So it's nice that you obviously embrace that and you're able to get your message across.
Yes, right.
So now, with you're a chamber member, obviously. You're here, and you were very quick to join. When you got your job, you reached out very quickly. Okay, you're a chamber, and what do I need to do to be a member?
Right.
And so you've been a member now for over a year.
Yes.
I'm not sure if you're aware of that, but happy anniversary.
Thank you.
What would you say has been one of the greatest benefits of your chamber membership?
I think the involvement and the embracement of, that's a word, of our community. I have been involved in chambers probably both in my medical profession and also in the wine industry. And that, once you join the chamber, you have so many different avenues and people within our community, involvement, connections, networking, that you don't have if you're not a chamber member.
And speaking of networking, we're recording this now in early May. I almost said June, but we're not quite there yet.
No.
So early May, and you're actually hosting our After Hours Mixer this month. So coming up on May 21st. Namaste on the tasting room on Highway 99.
Yes, we
and I know I'm looking forward to it because I've been to your tasting room before. And again, just for those who haven't been there before, this is a great, we'll say, excuse for some of our chamber members perhaps to drive a little bit on 99 and hang out for a bit, have a taste of the Namaste wines. Dave's going to be there.
Yes, he is.
So again, that's that personal touch that you're able to do with a lot of the vineyards and wineries here that you may not in some of the larger areas.
Right. And we have such a strong network within all of our community with the other wineries. We depend on each other. We support each other because we are small wineries, and I think that's very important. And the chamber embraces that.
Well, thank you. And this is by far my favorite question I get to ask everyone. And it's usually because I never know how someone's going to answer. But what would you say is a hobby or an interest that you have that would surprise people, or a skill?
I love to surf. I'm a surfer.
Okay.
I have surfboards in storage in Santa Cruz, and I miss them terribly.
So where all have you surfed?
I have surfed all along Santa Barbara, along the Santa Cruz area, and I have, on occasion, surfed by Lincoln City. It demanded a much thicker wetsuit than California, and a lot more equipment that I'm accustomed to, but the waves are great. So
when did you get started? How did you get started in surfing?
I got started in surfing when my children were very little, and we did a lot with another family. And spur of the moment, she said, "Let's go get some surfboards and let's go surfing." And I think probably it was in the late '80s, early '90s.
Okay, so it's definitely stuck, and you've been doing it for a while.
Love it.
And talking about the temperature of the water, that's still an adjustment coming from North Carolina and the East Coast. The Atlantic Ocean's quite warm.
Yes.
You can actually swim in it, know, which I know people out here do, but it's just a difference. And
right.
But yeah, I have not actually ventured into the water in the Pacific Northwest. Like it's
cold.
Exactly.
It's cold, and we have a lot of undertow. But if you're wearing a wetsuit and booties and a cap, basically you get out there and the water becomes your body temperature trapped inside your wetsuit. So you become very comfortable. And just sitting out there on the board, no one can get hold of you. No cell phones, no pagers, nothing. And it's just very peaceful
moment
and
of
quiet.
Escape. Yeah,
yes.
That's great. Well, Maddie, thank you so much for being here and
you're
joining me for
welcome.
Chamber Chat. And I look forward to seeing you, obviously, for our mixer coming up. And appreciate your time.
Oh, well, thank you for inviting me.
And welcome back to Chamber Chat. Joining me now is Mark Fancey, who is the Community Development Director for the City of Monmouth. Welcome, Mark, and thanks for being here.
Hi, Jean. Glad to be here.
So now, why of anywhere you could live, because I know you're not originally from the Monmouth Independence area, but why Monmouth Independence? Why the City of Monmouth? Why are you here?
My work brought me here, and I'm glad it did. I came to Polk County originally in 1995 when I went to work for the county in Dallas as a planner, and my training and experiences as a land use planner. In about 2000, I actually went to work for an organization called the Mid-Willamette Valley Council of Governments in Salem. And what that organization does is provide land use planning help to a lot of smaller cities. While I was doing that, I was the staff planner for a number of small cities like Hubbard and Jervis and Mount Angel. I also began doing work for both Monmouth and Independence, helping them rewrite their long-range comprehensive plans. And then in early 2006, Martha Wiebe, who was the city planner in Monmouth, retired, and the city was in kind of a pinch and hired me as a COG planner to work part-time for the city doing land use planning. And that kind of morphed into a position as community development director that's gotten much broader, and I do all kinds of variety of things in addition to land use. And I've been here full-time with the city since 2007, and I moved to town in Monmouth in 2008.
All right, so what started as a part-time position specifically with the City of Monmouth has now turned into wearing all the different hats that you wear.
Right, it grew from city planner to community development director, and yeah, there was a lot more to it. Yeah, so, a lot of what I do is project management, so that's really, you know, what I do is manage different projects and get them done.
So what are some of the projects that you're currently managing?
One of the big ones is we've gone through a design process to develop a Main Street Park amphitheater. And we're now talking to the council about how the funding options for getting that constructed, and we hope to go to construction in September. Some of the other things, I work on events. I work on the July 4th Festival and the Music in a Park events. And I'm also doing a lot of work right now helping with the Friends of the Senior Center with grant writing so they can get the Senior Center building and expansion completed for that building.
So you do a lot of grant writing, as you said,
yes.
And at this point, or would you consider yourself a master grant writer?
No, not a master, but I kind of understand. I understand the approach and how to go at it, and how to. I think funders want to know that you can adequately state your problem and be very clear about how you're going to use their money to address the problem. And that's the real key I find for grant writing is that clarity.
Because there's a lot of people, obviously, who want grants, a lot of organizations who need grants for the funding to help be successful with what their goals are. And some people are very scared of grants. That seems overwhelming, you know, daunting task. And,
right.
But like you said, if you just look at what the grant itself is asking,
right,
and you can follow directions, in essence.
Right. The writing of grants can be very difficult. It can sometimes take me hours to write 3 paragraphs to get them just the way I want them, because you got one shot to say this message to the people who want to give you large amounts of money. So every sentence counts. Yeah.
Right. Now, they showed some photos. Tree planting. There was one with a lot of. So how many trees? Any idea of how many trees since you've been with the City of Monmouth that has been planted because of what you've done?
Right. I think. Yeah, I that was one of the titles I inherited with the community development director position, is managing the city's Tree City USA program, and I'm going to guess that we're probably upwards of about 450 trees that we planted since probably 2009, including. We just added 31 new trees at Madrona Park for Arbor Day, and that is, we put 121 trees in Madrona Park since last fall alone. And we also had a big planting last year at our dog park at Monmouth Recreational Park and put 49 trees in there. Yeah.
Wow, that's a lot of planting.
Yeah, and you know, for me, it's a fun experience because I work on these long-range projects that take years to complete. You know, the amphitheater processes, we've known about that project for 7 years now, and we're getting now close to construction. It's great to go out in a couple of hours and just make your community a better place, and that's what those tree plantings, that's where I get the satisfaction, is that, you know, we start at 9 in the morning, and by noon, Monmouth is just a little bit better than it was before we started.
So what would you say has been one of your greatest professional accomplishments?
You know, I think the 3 large park projects that we're getting close to completing are really, I feel very much tied to those, and I feel a real big sense of accomplishment. You know, in 2008, the city had an outdated parks master plan, and we went through a process with students from the U of O to develop a new master plan for our parks, and out of that came 3 large projects. Those were the splash fountain in Main Street Park, which is complete, the Madrona Park project, that's our biggest park at 10 acres, and it was very sparsely developed, and so that was about a $650,000 project to get that completed. And then we have the amphitheater coming, and we hope to break ground on that this September. You know, I've been a planner for a long time, and I've written plans that I know collect dust, and I've inherited plans that I know collect dust, and it's just great to see that this was a planning effort that led to these big projects getting done.
So instead of just a well-written document, it's something that's functional in the sense of an outcome that's tangible. You can see the park, you can plan the park.
Right, very much so. And you know, as a land use planner, I often joke that I keep the timber industry going because I generate a lot of reports and a lot of paper and notices and letters and those kind of things. And it's great to actually see something, you know, be constructed from the fruits of all your labor, and that's what I get with the parks projects. Yeah.
So on a personal level, what would you say has been one of your greatest personal accomplishments or successes?
You know, I thought about that. You gave me these questions in advance. I thought about that, and I haven't climbed Kilimanjaro or any of those things, or hiked the Pacific Crest Trail. But I think for me, being a parent and raising, my daughter lives in Eugene, and she's a grown adult, and she's the 3rd generation in our family that have worked in public service. My father did, and I do, and now she does, and she's doing great things, and that, to me, is about, as a parent, as a person, all you can do is make things a little better than when you started, and I really feel that in her and in her work.
Well, that's great.
Yeah.
Accolades to
very
her.
Very satisfying, yeah, to know that. And it's comforting as a parent to know your kid's going to be okay. They turned out all right. All that work was, all those blood, sweat, and tears was worth it.
No more sleepless nights.
Yeah,
what's going to happen?
Exactly, yeah.
Well, now that you've been in the Monmouth Independence area for a while, quite a while, what would you say, and actually you and I have sat through some committee meetings and different programs with the Rural Tourism Studio and others, and we've heard a lot of people respond to this question. I'm curious on your part, what would you say is a feature that makes the Monmouth Independence area unique, or something that really makes us stand out?
Well, I know what I see in Monmouth in particular. Well, I think overall the beauty of this area is the friendliness of the people. That's what I was immediately welcomed into this community, and I have been, and I've worked with both cities, and very welcoming environment. I think in Monmouth particularly, the presence of a university is very unique for a small town, yes. And its impact on the community in a very positive way, and what it brings to the community is a wonderful thing. I remember, and what it's done is it's created generations of people that have gone to school here, enjoyed the experience, and come back. I'll never forget one night at a city council meeting, our council took a moment to kind of reminisce about what was WU called when you went there. And 5 of the 7 councilors were engaged in the discussion because they were all WU graduates. So that really says something about your community and the quality of education here, that it keeps people around and brings them back.
Because it's definitely not common for every small town to have a public university or a private college in their backyard.
That's correct.
Right. You just don't find that everywhere.
Right.
There are lots of colleges and there's lots of universities, but you just don't always find that in that smaller community, which is definitely an asset here, I believe.
Yeah.
As we sit on WU campus right now doing this.
Yeah. Oh, I noticed at the very first Planning Commission meeting I ever attended, as a staff in Monmouth, was that I had a very engaged Planning Commission. They were very well spoken. They had a variety of opinions. They were very intelligent, and I think having a college atmosphere here, it really helps with all that. Yeah.
So this is my favorite question that I get to ask of Chamber Chat every time is, what is a unique, or what is a skill or a hobby, something, an interest you have that would surprise people?
Well, I thought of a couple of things. I don't know if it'll surprise people based on what, but music and gardening are probably my 2 biggest hobbies. So, I grew up in the San Francisco Bay Area, and I've been a fan of the Grateful Dead since I was 15 years old, so I'm a longtime Deadhead. I've got something like 1,100 Grateful Dead live recordings, in a kind of a compulsive collecting manner. And then I'm also a fan of a band out of Athens, Georgia called Widespread Panic, and I just recently attended my 30th and 31st Widespread Panic shows in Seattle and Portland. So I'm an old hippie, and that's kind of how it goes. So.
Now, isn't the Dead, don't they have their farewell concert? Is it Chicago?
In Chicago, the
Yeah.
50th. Yeah, it's over the 4th of July, and I'm working that weekend because we have the 4th of July festival. But yeah, I'll try and catch some of it. I think it's coming on webcast. Or something
I have a
like
cousin who's a Deadhead as well, and he's going to that. He's
Oh,
quite
good.
excited.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful.
He's
Yeah,
like, I can't believe we're
it's
going. So.
Nothing like a Grateful Dead concert. That's what we say. Yeah.
Well, Mark, thanks for being here. I appreciate your time and being part of Chamber Chat.
You bet. Thanks for having me, Gene. Yeah. Bye-bye.
And welcome back to Chamber Chat. Joining me now is Sandra Paoli. She is a realtor with the Windemere Western View Properties. Thanks, Sandra, for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Now, you've lived in this area for quite some time. Why Monmouth Independence area? Why are you still here?
Well, we chose Monmouth Independence as a central location for my husband's job, and then it just turned out to be a great community, so we stayed. Coming from Northern California and moving here, we found a great little community. It's very nice here. It's very family-oriented. It's the village that raised the family.
So how long have you been here now?
We've been here now 15 years.
Okay, and you've raised a family?
We've raised a family. We started with our 5-year-old at that time, my oldest, Shiley, and then we've had 2 more, Emily and Aubrey. And I can't imagine moving away from the small community.
So it's definitely a home for you.
Definitely home. It's got a lot of activities for the kids, even though it's a small town, and you're very close to everything.
So what would you say, when you look at our community, Monmouth Independence as a whole, what would you say is a unique feature? What's really something that stands out about this area?
The things that attracted us to this area was the fact that it's centrally located. It's an hour to everything. So you can get to the coast, you can go to the mountains, you can get to Salem, McMinnville, Albany, Corvallis, all within a very short time frame. That gave us lots of opportunity for our family when we moved here to do everything that we loved. So go to the mountains and play in the snow, or go to the beach and play on the sand. So it was a really good small central spot.
And that's definitely something that my husband and I find attractive about this area as well, is the proximity. You're really close to a lot of things, but yet you have the beauty and the charm of a small town, so you kind of get the best of both worlds.
The security. I mean, I'm able to let my kids walk down the street to go to the park, and I'm nervous, as I should be, but I'm not so freaked out that I can't let them enjoy growing up as a kid like we did when we were growing up.
Exactly. The childhood I have would not be the childhood now, if in a larger place or in a different area.
Even in the same town that I grew up in Colorado, I wouldn't even have, not a chance.
So now you're a realtor with Windemere.
I am.
And how long have you been doing that?
I started real estate right before the market downturn, so...
Great timing.
Yeah. I really learned how to work for myself and my clients. It was never an easy task. I didn't grow up in the community, so I didn't have the local, my friends and family that I grew up with buying houses from me. It's never been that way. So I've had to work hard to be successful on my own, making my own way. And then having the market downturn happen, I learned how to pave through even though banks were closing in the middle of the night and people were in trouble. So it's been a good time.
Would you say that has been your greatest professional accomplishment?
It has
that
been.
Surviving?
Making it through the market downturn and coming over here onto the other side where it's starting to come back around has been definitely a successful thing, and something I find pride in, that I did make it through. I did learn to work hard for my clients and maneuver around the hard financing guidelines that were happening. They really tightened down the laces on letting money go out, and being able to maneuver around those things and satisfy the banks was a challenge. Exciting, fun, aggravating at times. And then also being able to help people out of their house when they lost their job and they can't make their mortgage. Being able to empower people each time. The empowering people one home at a time is definitely something that's stuck with me throughout my career.
So you're working with, whether it's that first-time homeowner who finally has the opportunity to become a homeowner,
Very exciting.
or someone who's maybe upgrading or downgrading, depending upon place in life.
So all different places in life, and it's interesting the different things that you come across. You know, new home buyers are very excited. They don't know anything, so it's very exciting all the way around. People who have sold houses a lot, you know, a lot of people move every 2 years. So they know a lot about it, and maybe too much sometimes. So that's a challenge by itself.
So now, on the personal side, what would you say has been one of your greatest personal accomplishments or successes?
Being able to successfully raise children through their schooling without them being in too much trouble. As well as helping my husband and I through the market downturn. You know, we were a product of that downturn with my husband getting corporate restructured at one point. So just being able to successfully hold our family together during all of that craziness.
And with 3 children.
With 3 kids.
That's
three kids going 3 different directions has been an interesting experience. I don't know how people that with more than 3 kids did it. I'm still not sure how I do it because you go in different directions every day. You know, 2 kids in 2 different sports, and then you've got the arts, and the kids are involved in all kinds of things. And that's probably because they see their dad and I also volunteering and being involved, and so they're doing the same thing.
So I first met you when I got the chamber job. You've been on the chamber board. You've been a chamber member for a long time as your individual realtor. Windemere, of course, is a member of the chamber, but you actually have also been a member as the individual, as the person, not just with the company, which definitely stands out as compared to some others. But what would you say has been some of the greatest benefit of your chamber membership?
The benefits of the chamber membership are very widespread. Part of it is just getting the exposure of being a chamber member and getting the referrals through fellow chamber members. That's been a nice thing. But it gives me opportunities to get out into the community, which is part of being a realtor. I mean, I'm a volunteer person, so it doesn't help that I also volunteer anyway. But being a realtor, I need to get my face out there. You need to know who I am. And when I'm able to volunteer in the chamber events or activities, that's just a good, solid, community-based. I'm looking out for the community. I'm helping people in the community to make it a better place for us all to live. So it's all kind of intertwined together. It's pretty much a no-brainer on my end.
You do have a very public job in the sense of your car, you know, has your name on it. Call me now.
Call me now.
You know, and so people know where you are when they see your car, and obviously they're going to see your car a lot as you're driving around with your clients and you're showing homes. And then your own volunteerism, you know, you're going to be out in the community doing that. So you're definitely in a very sort of public arena, if you will.
It's interesting when you have people, oh, hi, Sandra, how are you doing? And you don't. I don't know who you are. The first couple times it happened, I was a little freaked out, but it's kind of grown on me. You know, I don't know them. It's okay. I've advertised. My face is out there, so I kind of roll with it. And
definitely see your face, sort of business card kind of ad, if you will. But you'll see the Sandra Paoli and see your face different places.
Yeah, so it's getting I see your name everywhere. So that's, you know, it's kind of fun. But in the, oh my, you know, not movie star way where you can't go grocery shopping, where it doesn't take you an hour and a half because you've stopped and said hi to everybody.
Yeah, when I see billboards, that's a really large space, and you see someone's face on it, I just couldn't imagine what it would be. Wow, that's really large.
Wow, that's really big.
Exactly. So my favorite question that I get asked people when they do Chamber Chat is, what is a skill or an interest or a hobby, or what's something about you that would surprise people?
I don't know if it would really surprise people, but I like to be crafty. So I've got my hands in all kinds of different crafty items: quilting, scrapbooking, card making, painting, you know. So even as much as putting cars together, you know, working on the car with my husband or something. Those are things that they're all crafty items in different senses. So getting my hands dirty or playing around with things and piecing the puzzles together.
Is there a favorite product that you've created?
Mostly the scrapbooks for my kids and the family. I tend to disappear into the moment and paper piecing the pieces together and making it look, scrapbooking is definitely, for me, a hands-on item. It's not the digital way. So my memories are a little bit further back than everybody else's, but I enjoy putting the scrapbooks together and being able to share them with the kids. The kids love it when I pull them out. And
well, it's definitely like the old photo albums where you just had sleeves
right.
with the photos, and you would turn a page and turn a page. Now with all the scrapbooking,
There's
it's quite
stickers,
fun and
there's stickers and
it's
paper
engaging
and cutting the pages to be different and making a different design on each page, but then somehow having some sort of symmetry to it. It's fun. It just gets your mind off of everything else that's going on. It's kind of my out button.
Well, if I ever need a scrapbook, I'll come to you guys. Well, thank you so much for being here, and I appreciate you participating with Chamber Chat.
I appreciate the time. Thank you.